With factors, we're also concerned with common factors between numbers. So we can take an example, 3 and 9, and we can write the factors of 3. The factors of 3 are 1 and 3, because these are the numbers that we can use to multiply to get to 3. And the factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. And again, this comes from, we can have 1 times 9 to give us 9, or we can do 3 times 3. So the factors are 1, 3, and 9, versus with 3, the only numbers we can multiply to give us 3 are 1 times 3. So we're looking at common factors. 1 is going to be a common factor between all numbers. So that's what we call a trivial solution. It doesn't really matter. So we know 1 is a common factor. We're looking for any other factors other than 1. For some numbers, it's true that the only common factor is 1, but we're often looking for numbers other than 1. So 1 is a common factor, but it's trivial. In this case, we can see that the common factor between 3 and 9 is 3. All right, so the common factor is 3, and this also happens to be the greatest common factor, which we abbreviate as GCF, greatest common factor, which is the largest of our common factors. So again, when we're dealing with factors, there are a finite number of factors for any given number. So we can therefore find the greatest of those common factors. Let's look at another example. Let's say we want to look at the factors of 30 and 45, okay? Well, the first thing you might ask, well, how do I find the factors of 30 and 45? I mean, I can sit here and just kind of guess and check all the numbers that will multiply to give me 30 and all the numbers that give me 45, but is there a better way to find the factors of numbers? Well, absolutely. Again, it is the factor tree. So just like we did in the multiples. So we can do the factor tree for 30. We can say 30 is 3 times 10. 3 is prime, so we circle it. 10 is 2 times 5, and both of those are prime, so we circle it. So what we have now is this is the prime factorization between 30 and 45. So the prime factorization for 30 is going to be 2 times 3 times 5. And we can do the same thing for 45. We can do the factor tree to find the prime factorization. So we can say 45 is 5 times 9. 5 is prime, we circle it. And 9 is 3 times 3. And both of those are prime, so we circle them. So the prime factorization for 45 is 3 times 3 times 5. All right? So if we want to find the greatest common factor between these two numbers, 30 and 45, what we're going to do is we're going to circle all of the common factors. So we can see that 3 is going to be a common factor, and 5 is going to be a common factor. So there is a pair of 3s, and there is a pair of 5. So our common factors, our common prime factors, are 3 and 5. All right? And so to find the greatest common factor, all we have to do is multiply our common factors together. So the greatest common factor is going to be 3 times 5, which is equal to 15. All right, so we see that 15 is the greatest of the common factors between 30 and 45. All right. Another example, let's say we want to find the greatest common factor between 24 and 108. So the first step is to find the prime factorization by using a factor tree. So we can do a factor tree for 24. So we can say, okay, 24 is what, 6 times 4? So 6 times 4, both of those are composite. 6 is 2 times 3. Those are prime. And 4 is 2 times 2. So our prime factorization for 24 is 2 times 2 times 2, 2 times 2 times 2, times 3. And we can do a factor tree for 108. All right. And because of my divisibility rules, if I add up the digits of 108, it gives me 9. And that's 9 is divisible by 9. So I know that 108 is also divisible by 9. So if I do 108 divided by 9, it gives me 12. So 12 times 9 is 108. 9 is 3 times 3. 12 is 3 times 4. So my prime factorization for 108 is 3 times 3 times 3 times 4. Okay? Whoops, whoa, hold on. Hold on. So of course 4 is not prime, so here we go. So 4 is not prime. We do 4. 4 is 2 times 2. Okay, there we go. See, that was a mistake. Making sure you're all paying attention. So the prime factorization of 108 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3. So the first thing we look for are the common factors, the common prime factors rather. So 2, one pair of 2's is common, another pair of 2's is common, and one pair of 3's is common. So our common prime factors between 24 and 108 are 2, another pair of 2, and a pair of 3. So our greatest common factor is going to be the product of those. So it's going to be 2 times 2 times 3. So 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 times 3 is 12. All right, so that is how we can find greatest common